let's make a start, because I think it is now live and I think there's quite a few people on there. So I don't want to hold people off and take up all the evening. Thank you everyone for coming. Welcome. So you're here for Returning to Education. We have a really good opportunity today. We're going to hear from some of our alumni. We're going to talk about some of the great experiences and their expertise, talk a bit about their career journey and sort of how UWL played a role in that. And of course, UWL, the thing we sort of pride ourselves on is being a career university. So whilst you're going to hear maybe about particular sectors, we will really try to give you skills and industry knowledge for any career choice that students want. Just to introduce myself, I'm Dr. Libby Farrier-Williams. So I am the Student Experience Manager at UWL. My PhD is in student experience, and so I'm all about supporting students before they arrive and the whole time that they're here with us. So it's always good to hear people talk about what a good time they had at uni. It always means something to me. So before we get started, just to remind you, we don't have any sort of chat. We have to use the chat function. Sorry, you can't unmute yourselves and ask questions. It's just so that it runs a bit smoothly, and otherwise it can get a bit complex. So any questions, we really encourage you to use the chat function on Facebook and on Zoom. Ask any questions and I'll try to get through as many as possible. So yeah, before we start, I'll make sure we introduce every single panelist here. So firstly, Precious Opaleki, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about where you've come from.
Hi, good morning from California, actually. I graduated from University of London, West London, actually in 2014. I studied accounting and finance. And then shortly after that, I went on to do my master's in accounting and management. And then here I am today in California. I'm actually a staff accountant and studying doing board exams to become an auditor for the state of California. And I currently sit on the board of directors for the Housing Association, and I'm actually the board treasurer. Yeah, and that's just a brief introduction about myself.
Thank you. I'm very jealous that you get to be in California as well. Rachel Meadowcroft, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Libby. Hi all, Rachel Meadowcroft. I graduated from UWL in 2003 with a master's in HR management. I previously studied law and decided that I wanted to move over to what I call and refer to as the dark side. My experience at UWL was fantastic. I've got some really great friends that I'm still in touch with that are either in the UK or down in Australia. My background previously had been working in local government, where I did an apprenticeship from the age of 18 till I was 24, and I studied part-time, so I didn't go the usual route into uni. I thought I would go earn some money and study during my own time. I then did a year traveling, left the UK, went to live down in Southeast Asia, and came back really wanting to change direction, do something completely different, and that's how I ended up working in HR. I've worked in different industries over the years, from public sector, the Foreign Office, to healthcare, pharmaceuticals, medical devices. And now in the last 2 years, I find myself in what's is a portfolio career, whereby I'm a consultant to a private equity firm where I act as their operating partner and give advice to their portfolio companies at a senior HR level. So that's my background. One comment that always sticks with me from UWL was one lecturer actually asking us how many careers in our lives will we have. I always thought I'd only have one. Actually, when I look back, I've probably had about 6. And I think, having this call today is a great opportunity to sort of share, our experience, but also, help people to sort of think, what do we want to get out of our careers? What else can I do? What other things can I study? And what strings can I add to my bow?
That's a great message, actually. I think it's quite common to hear that there's not just one career path as well, isn't it? I think that's very normal now. And lastly, definitely not least, a winner of our alumni award, Philip Tottman. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah, sure. I'm Phil. So I graduated from UWL in 2013 with broadcast journalism. I was a journalist for a number of years, but as Rachel said, you kind of, you have more than one career. You tend to have more than one career over your lifespan. So I was a journalist for a number of years, and then ended up starting my own company or co-founding a company called Book of Beasties, and we create mental wellness and mental health games and educational resources for children and schools and parents. But yeah, I studied at UWL as a mature student, as in I was in my mid-20s and not really mature, and definitely not mature. But in the lead up to that, I was working in pubs and restaurants and managing various pubs and stuff. So it wasn't really on my radar to go to university until it was. And then I went, which I'm sure we'll all delve into later on. So that's me.
Brilliant. Thank you. So it's lovely to meet you all. I do have to, just to warn everyone, I do have to mute myself because my laptop can make a funny noise. So if I forget to mute myself and you start hearing something, please shout at me. But let's get started. So let's go with your education journey. What was it? What do you remember the thought or something that happened, any ideas that made you want to go back to uni? When you made that decision, what was the target?
I think from my perspective, so I obviously did GCSEs and my A-levels, which I didn't do very well in at all. I wasn't really into education when I was young. I was a musician, so in my dreams were being a rock star, that's what I was going to do. And then when all my friends went off to uni, I was working in a pub and I kind of stayed there. And I think in that industry, you can, if you working hard at it, you can move up the ranks quite quickly. So I did, and I took over a pub really young and just kind of stayed there and cruised along in that career. But realized it's one of those, it wasn't necessarily like a moment, like an epiphany kind of thing. It was more like an extended epiphany over a period of time where you kind of go, oh yeah, maybe I want to do something a little bit different. And I guess it was a journey to discovering what that is and what I wanted to do, which I don't think even starting university, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I just took a shot and but wanted to do that to allow me to open more doors. I think that was the key for me. It's just getting more experience, getting more life experience and getting more knowledge, which is a very, very important thing.
Yeah, I can second to that. Thanks, Felix. In my own case, it's kind of it's been a very long journey. I mean, I kind of completed my education back in Africa, and I came to England and started studying not really in accounting. I was actually studying travel and tourism, if I can remember very well. But I was quite young at the time. I was in my early 20s, and first of all, shout out my best friend Lucy. I know she's watching. So she was my classmate. Anyway, so I did my travel and tourism, and then after a while, kind of like, this is not what I want to do. Life happened, got married, had kids, stayed home for about 8 years. And then after that, I was like, no, I need to go back and do something, because I kind of found out like every time I want to do something, I want to apply for jobs, because like everywhere you go, they're asking for qualifications. You need to do, you need to have some certain qualifications, and then you need to have at least, higher qualifications, not just a diploma. So I took it upon myself. I was like, no, I'm going to start from the scratch. So I went to different colleges, acquired my diploma in business, and then eventually applied to University of West London in 2011. And at that time, I was like, I was in my early 30s with 3 young kids. It was a tough journey, but thank God, University of West London came along, because my lecturers that I had in my accounting and finance were very supportive, and they will understand that you have kids, so they kind of give you the kind of schedule that fits into the program that you have to go and pick up the kids, and you have to drop kids in the morning and come back to, come and attend lectures and seminars and the rest of it. And so I started, and to be honest, when I started in 2011, I was not sure about myself, whether I'll be able to pull through, because I had 3 young kids. My youngest was like about 14 months old, and my oldest was just like, entering elementary, so starting primary school. So it was a big challenge, but like I said, it was something that I was able to do because of what the kind of support the UW gave me. And they have this kind of open door policy where you can just walk into the office anytime, to one of the lecturers, professors, if you have problems, if you are, falling behind with your schoolwork, you go in there and ask them questions. They ask for extension, they'll give it to you as long as they're doing your work. So it was really like an exciting moment for my first year. Second year, I was like, yeah, I got it. And then I joined the students ambassador scheme, which was really a good thing for me because it kind of gave me that, deeper insight of how university, life is, how things work at the uni. And I just got involved in, so many activities to kind of try and promote the uni and then try to make my life, memorable at University of West London. And I'm glad I did it. And I'm glad I stayed on the course for about 3 years, and I graduated in 2014, and I was like, yeah, I did it. And then, so it was exciting. It was an exciting, memorable place to be. Looking back, I would do it again if I had an opportunity to do that.
That's always very good to hear. That's exactly what I want to hear. Rachel, what about you?
I think just picking up a couple of points that Precious mentioned, I think, it's very easy to fall into the trap of thinking you've been to uni, you've got a degree, and that's all that you need. If you're specifically wanting to move into targeted professions, so finance, HR, legal, marketing, you do need to go down the professional qualification route, because when, for example, you're interviewing, whilst you might have all the experience, in the job that you've been doing, if, say, for example, a business is looking for a finance director, they're going to want to see whether they've gone the AAT route or the CIMA route in the UK. They're going to want to see what other professional qualifications they've got. It's the same in HR. And that's the reason why I decided to go back at, 29? And, was there 2001 to 2003. I'd not got children at the time, and I don't know how, Precious, you actually managed to pull in studying with children. I certainly wouldn't have been able to do it with 3 young kids. But and I think it is very much about your career evolves, and it's definitely about what you put into it. If you want to really drive yourself and diverse into different professions, different areas of business and different industries, taking that step to go back to uni, invest your time. And I've seen people go through the HR profession who hated going back and studying, but it's the best thing you can do, because as I always say to people, if you've not qualified, got MCIPD or FCIPD on your CV, you won't be considered. There'll be candidates that'll be in front of you that you won't even get a look in. So I think for me, it is about the professional qualification. It is about backing up your career, backing up your first degree, secondary, whatever, because then it opens up more doors for you and gives you more opportunity. And, it's like any advice. If somebody said to me, Rachel, what do you think about me doing an MBA? My first pushback will be, how much commercial experience have you got? How much time have you spent in the roles you're doing in the business that you're in? Because doing an MBA at 25, 26 isn't going to necessarily be, what you should be doing and what you'll get out of it at, say, 35, 36, when you've got, say, 10 years work experience under your belt. And, I always say, really think about the timing of when you're going to do a further, study of education.
I think sort of everyone kind of goes back to that career-led, whether it's we know what profession we want to do and this is the accreditations I'm going to need, so that's what it is. Or like you said, Philip, actually, I don't know. I know that I want to explore something, and this will help me do that, and it will help me paint that path for my own career. And I think that's probably what we try to do, at UWL, is whatever it is and whether your stage you're at, hopefully we can help you through that path. when you, I imagine there's always nerves at any age of going to university. There's always challenges that you think are going to happen. What were you nervous about? Because I'm sure people listening are a bit nervous. And what did UWL do, or how did you overcome that? Once you entered the building, how did UWL and yourself overcome those nerves and the challenges that you had? Rachel, do you want to go first this time?
Sorry, I'm smiling. I remember the first, I think it was a Tuesday evening, I was at the Ealing campus and turned up and didn't know anybody. There was what I would put the group that were extraordinarily keen, and then there was the group that kind of, we've got to do this, so we're here. And then I would put myself in the next camp, really, why am I here? Because I don't want to study anymore. I've done that, spent 7 years. So it was a very diverse group, but it was good from the perspective. There were those that really, really worked hard and really did work hard. I didn't. I kind of like, I just want to scrape through it and get through it. But those that worked really, really hard, and it kind of made me sort of reflect on my own, I guess, motivation and ambition, because it's like, if I want to come out with a distinction, whatever it is, that you've got to put the effort in. And my late father always said to my brother and I, what you get out of life is what you put into it. And yeah, I walked away with an MA in HR management, but I could have worked a lot harder. And that just sticks with me, because I remember just thinking that group of people, there were 3 camps, but great experience. And at the end of the day, it's, if you get something out of it, and that is either good friendships, you qualify professionally, it's what you put into it that you get out of it at the end of it.
Yeah, definitely. Philip, would you like to explain it?
Yeah, sure. So I guess like the imposter syndrome kind of feeling that is always apparent and never relenting. That I think that was the biggest thing, is that I was there and there was a lot of these younger guys and girls who were like a lot more intelligent than me. There still are. There's endless people a lot more intelligent than me. Sorry, my son's just coming. He's here. Don't worry. He's more intelligent than me. That kind of. Sorry, I'm going to hand him back. Bye. I kind of had that feeling that I shouldn't have been there, that these younger people there, and they were smarter than me, and the lecturers were really helpful at calming those kind of nerves, There was one particular lecturer called Claire Gorham, who was I think she was head of broadcast journalism. I can't remember. But yeah, I said to her once, I was like, I think I'm pretty rubbish at this. Like, I don't think I'm very good. And she kind of she coached me through a lot of those anxieties.
Yeah, imposter syndrome. I think everyone gets it and they assume that no one else has it. And it's everyone goes through that. I think you go through that when you start new jobs. It's not just uni, is it? It's everything. And like you said, Rachel, it's what you put into it, and actually pushing yourself past that. Precious, what about you? What nerves did you have when you were going in?
That same imposter syndrome that Philip is talking about. I mean, being someone who was coming from a background of like being a full-time mom for 8 years at home, and then suddenly, finding myself in a situation where I'm kind of mingling with people who are just coming from A levels and just smart kids, like Philip, said. I mean, they're still smart. Anyway, so I was kind of scared, to be honest. I'm like, okay, I'm doing accounting and finance. Really, is this gonna take me anywhere at my age? Would I be able to get into a finance industry or accounting industry? I had a lot of questions that was just going through my mind, and I could not answer them, and that kind of created a lot of anxiety. And I remember the first few months, I was like, I kept questioning myself every time I drive to uni. I was like, am I doing the right thing? When I sit in the lecture room and I see, the lecturer walking and ask questions, And people raise their hands and they talk about stuff that was alien to me. And I'm like, am I going to do this thing? It was really like the first 3 to 4 months. I mean, let me say the first semester in my first year was very challenging. I was reading books, I wasn't getting it. But where UWL came in was the fact that the lecturers that we had on accounting and finance from the business school were those kind of professors who had like business, like industry experience. They were working in the industry before they came to teach. So they were kind of, you know, I can't remember. I think Dr. Suresh, if he's still there, I don't know if he's still there, but he was one of those who kind of held my hand and said to me, Precious, you can do this. I know you are nervous. You keep complaining about not getting staff and the rest of it. You know, don't look at people coming in with different, you know, qualifications, coming in fresh from college, coming in fresh from whatever it is. You are here, you know, for your own, educational achievement. So it's your own journey. You're gonna have to work. If you want to get somewhere, you're gonna have to work hard to get there. Don't look at people. Get motivated from what they're doing, but don't let what they're doing be something that's gonna depress you and, you know, take you out of this course. Just keep working. So that kind of kept ringing in my head, keep working. Even if I see that, oh, it's not making sense. I remember my first assignment was a disaster because I had to write 2,500 words, and I was a mom of young kids. And when I get home, everything was all over the place. I can't organize myself. It was a nightmare. But I went through it. Like I said, they have an open door policy for, the business school. I can only speak for business school because that's where I graduated from. Business school lecturers have a very open policy, a door policy, they call it. You can walk in anytime without appointment. And then, like I said earlier, they understand your situation. If you are a mom, if you are a dad, if you have other responsibilities, because I know some people have to work, they have, 3, 4 jobs. Whatever situation, they understand. Just be, be in communication with them. Go to their office, get the things that, they're asking you to do, get it done at the time that they require you to do it. If you can't do it, communicate with them. You say, oh, well, I can't do this, and I have extension in a week, a few days, they'll give it to you. So the kind of support they gave me, looking back, I would say I wouldn't be where I am today if they didn't hold my hand. I probably would have given up in my first semester of the first year.
It's good to hear that. I think everyone's kind of mentioned how much sort of support there was, and it's nice to hear. And I think a good thing you kind of mentioned on it just there, Precious, is the academics understand. A lot of them went back and studied actually later in life. They might have done their master's, PhD themselves later. They have kids. They've had all these challenges themselves, and so they completely understand. They've probably worked. When I was an academic, I was working multiple jobs while studying doctorate. So they understand that, which is why I think they want to support you through uni. What do your experiences outside, because you all had very different experiences outside of university, how did they benefit your studies? So how did maybe coming to uni a bit later in life, how did that help you, do you think?
Personally, it links back to what we were just saying. I think you go in and you have a certain amount of self-doubt and don't believe that you can actually set out on a career and achieve what you want to do. And I think what I found was, I failed one of my modules in the last year, which I was gutted about and had to redo it because in my mind, I wanted this done within the 3-year time frame. I didn't want it dragging on any longer. It goes back to what I said. I should have worked harder. I should have listened a little bit more, but we live and learn. But, I think it's about not giving up. It's perseverance, and it builds resilience in you. When you're working and you're studying, to Precious's point, and Philip, you've got young kids running around and you've got to sit down and you've got to work and you've got to get, an essay in, a dissertation in. You've got no option. You have to do it. And I think that's what it teaches is that resilience and trying to get yourself organized and, but the only advice I can give is don't give up, even when it's really tough. Just don't give up, just keep going, because you will get through it, and you'll get, you will get what you set out to achieve in the first place.
Yeah, Phil?
I think responsibility. If I'd have gone to university when everyone else did, and that kind of pressure to go, when you're 18, well, when I was 17, 18 years old, you kind of feel like you should go then. At least that's how I felt. I don't think I would have done very well. I hadn't grown up properly. Personally, I hadn't grown up properly. I probably still haven't. But I think those years kind of working in the real world, as they say, taught me how to be responsible and how to not take a thing for granted. And especially, especially if you're paying for it, you want to do the best that you can do. And it just taught me how to get my head down and crack on despite kind of any adversities. As Rachel said, it includes that kind of resilient element as well, that you don't learn anywhere else apart from out there,
Yeah.
Very true. You do see a difference sometimes in students when they've had like a placement year, or they've got used to that working life and they come back and they're more responsible.
Totally.
Yeah. Precious?
Yeah, I'll second to that. I think if I went to uni when I was younger, I probably wouldn't have achieved what I achieved. I think going back as a matured person made me a better person. Better candidate to do the accounting and finance and go through all the challenges. Because after all, I was able to do all these things that I was doing at home without being at school. I was able to do certain things, make sure things are running well at home. And then that kind of, it's a skill itself, because when I started doing the course in accounting and finance is a very challenging course. You need to be able to multitask. You need to be able to know, to meet deadlines. In every profession, I know they do that, but going back as a matured person, it kind of, gave me that ability to be calm when I'm getting to the deadline. And I'm like, okay, this is not do or die. I'm going to do it. I'm going to push through. And then I was encouraging myself so I can do what I've done in the past, whatever years. This thing I'll push through. So I use my experience as an adult and matured student to kind of navigate through the challenges that I was facing through my studies.
Yeah, I completely see how I see that with students. It's really, really common. So really, I don't know, why question here. Thinking about one of the things that we like to pride ourselves on, apart from being all about career-led, it's why we touched on the importance of coming with work experience has really helped you with your responsibility, handling challenges, being resilient. And it's why we kind of do a lot of work on placements and work experience with our students. But apart from that, and just thinking, we love that we're University of the Year for student experience, open door policy, the support that we try to give students. What was your own experience like? Did you enjoy it overall? So apart from the nerves that you were maybe feeling?
I did. I think, because I was working like everyone else, but I had a job alongside doing it, but I had a full-time job. So I was really focusing on that and doing this alongside it, if you see what I mean, because I had my own flat and I was trying to fund life and stuff. So I did feel like I missed out on the student experience a little bit. I went to the SU quite a lot. I did spend a fair bit of time in Freddie's Bar, but aside from that, that real student experience, living in Paragon and stuff like that, I didn't actually do, and I wish I had. I'd love to have done that and have that real experience. But what I did have there, I really enjoyed, and really it was the people that I met. And there's a specific number of people, in particular people there that I met who were amazing, and they made the experience for me. And it's, I guess certain people define certain periods of life, and I loved that I found some people there that did that for me during my experience at UWL.
Oh, that's a really nice way to say it. Precious, how about you?
I had an amazing time at UWL. Like I said before, I joined the scheme, which I would say I would advise everyone, if you go to uni, make sure you make use of all the resources that are around you. and make sure you use all the extra stuff that they gave you, apart from your course. If I remember very well, we had this kind of sessions where if you are struggling with writing skills, if you are struggling with understanding certain things, they used to run this kind of workshops to to help you with your course. Make sure you do all those things. Don't say it's not my course. It's not, I don't do this. I'm here to do accounting and finance, for example, and I'm here to do social work, or I'm here to do whatever course you're doing. And I don't want to do those extra things. So those extra bits, even though they are not part of the main course, they're not going to be marked for your exam, they can kind of help you more, especially if you're coming from a background like I did. I came from being a full-time mom to studying university straight away. Those kind of extra things that the university offers really help. And then, like I said, joining the scheme helped as well. Mingle, make as many friends as you can. University of London has a big international pool of students. Make friends with people all over the world. You don't know where you're going to meet them. You don't know where you're going to find yourself in life. I mean, in a few years to come. Just make sure you enjoy your life. I enjoyed my 3 years at UWL to the extent that when it was the day of my graduation, I was like, really, am I graduating? I just felt like, I wanted to go back and, do something else, straight away. But obviously, I'm here now. I couldn't do it.
And you made a really interesting point about study support and how to make use of that. And actually, at the moment, we are doing work for all new students that are incoming to help them prepare. I know a lot get scared about academic writing, and, that's part of the imposter syndrome, I think.
That's right.
We're putting on workshops and things like that for students just before they come, and then also throughout their whole time. It's constantly advertised. So really, really important. Rachel, how about you?
Listening to Precious and Philip, share their experience, and I was there almost 20. Well, actually, it was 20 years ago since I popped along in September 2001. And I think the experience back then will be very different to what the experience that Precious and Philip had, in that it was TVU. It wasn't the University of West London. It was, it was a very different environment. But I think, just to echo what both of them have said, getting the support from the resources, from the lecturers, but more important from the peer group is really important, because not only do you make great friends, when you go back into the workplace, you've got a network you can share your experience with and you can call on. And, networks in any profession are really important. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and, how you build those relationships. And, I think just, as Precious shares her experience of going back to study, returning, from, being at home, raising a family, I think from my situation was very different back then. But I'd say to anybody listening today, don't be frightened and put off that you think that you can't go back to study because you've been at home, whether, it's either mum or dad, one of you's taken a career break. Just dip your toe in the water and go for it, because you'll get such a fulfilling experience, make some brilliant friends through it, and look back and think, you know what, I really enjoyed that. Even though it was hard work, it was worth it. It absolutely was worth it. And I think, the word I would use in my profession is teamwork and collaboration. And that's what you get from UWL is that nobody wants any student to fail. And therefore that support network is there because the teamwork's there, because the collaboration's there. And because at the end of the day, no university wants to see any of its students not succeed. I think, the one thing that I always smile about on my graduation day, which would have been in November 2003, I'd found out I was pregnant with my eldest daughter the day before. And I look back at the photograph and think, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I graduated on that day and not any later. So yeah, it sort of sticks in my mind.
I think it's so lovely that everyone has mentioned the people that make the student experience. That we could have, we have a great library, we have lovely lecture theatres, we have lovely, cafes, whatever. But actually, the uni won't won't win these awards without the fact that whether that's an academic, study support, librarians, student unions, you know, supporting you in that journey, and then your friends, the class peers that you'll meet on throughout your 3-4 years, the people you're just meeting hobbies or in your part-time work or whatever it is, 100% makes such an impact. I think you both make that. We had a question come in about what advice would you give me as I'm not good at writing essays, I've got kids and I'm feeling a bit anxious about that. I think you both Precious and Rachel kind of mentioned it, you know, reach out to that support, you have to go to their door sometimes, but reach out and just go for it and enjoy it.
I think as well, I'd add, Libby, that it's like anything in life in general and in work, where, you know, we've all felt scared about putting a hand up and saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal with this. And the hardest thing is admitting not knowing what to do and how to deal with it. But I think once you've overcome that hurdle and kind of thought, okay, what do I need to do here? How do I write this? You know, I think it's just having that confidence and building that self-confidence and having the self-belief that, okay, if you don't get it right the first time, give it a go the next time and keep trying. But, you know, it's to put your hand up and say, I don't know. I remember when my first Saturday job was at Marks and Spencer's, and I remember the store manager saying to the group of us that were training, if you don't know the answer to a question, don't say, and make up an answer, admit that you don't know it and put your hand up. And that's the one thing that's stuck with me since the age of 16. And that, if I can impart any advice to anybody, if you don't know and you're struggling and you need advice, go ask for it, because nobody's going to turn around and say, I'm not going to help you.
I think that's a key skill, isn't it? I think that's something that you learn. It's not something that comes naturally to be able to do that. And that's definitely what you learn at, you know, one of the things, obviously you learn it in school as well, but at university, it kind of drives it home because that's when you're becoming an adult. And I think as you become an adult, or whatever that means, you feel like you should know things. And, you know, there's stuff that I should know now and I have no idea. And I'll openly tell someone like, I don't know how to do this. And they'll be like, what? But you do, you learn that, you learn to do that at university, because that's the place to do it. That's the place to I say be dumb. That's not what I mean at all, but that's the place to you know, allow yourself to become that sponge again and sort of absorb knowledge.
You're not going to be the first or the last to ask a question and not know anything. Like, you know.
That's actually true. But Libby, can I just touch a little bit on the question you said someone posted about being nervous and having little kids? I don't know if I got that right, but I don't know how much I can, you know, emphasize this. I mean, don't feel nervous. It's like Philip said, my other colleague said it. In every walk of life, when you are starting to do certain new things, whether you're a professional, you're not a professional, you're a kid, you're an adult, when you're doing something new, there is that sense of anxiety is almost like it's a norm. It's normal to be like that. But how you overcome it is what I want to talk about right now. So don't be overwhelmed because, you know, you look at every other people around you looking different, people around you having different, looking more intelligent than you are. You are all at university, like going there, you are all on day one of getting your qualification from on whichever course you're doing. Those guys coming in with intelligence, knowledge, whatever it is good, but you are there to learn. You're gonna learn it. You're gonna go through the 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, however long the course is. As long as you stick to the program, use the resources that the university has, all the support thing that we are talking about. They run all these workshops. Find out, go to the student hub, go to the student, anywhere that you can get your student support. Tell them your story, you know, let them know what your situation is and ask for things that you can do to improve yourself. There's no one is there's no, no one is a genius when it comes to like not knowing stuff. Don't think, oh, if I say I don't know how to do things, they will laugh at you. No, they won't. They accepted you as a student to come to UW because they saw something in you. If you didn't have that quality, they wouldn't have taken you. So if they said yes to you, that means they're ready to mold you for you to become who you want to be. I mean, I wasn't one of those A-level students. I just came, my background was different. I'm here, I've obtained my master's. I've done so many things in accounting fields that some people would have thought, oh, it's not possible. I've done it. I'm here in California, still moving ahead. I'm gonna be an auditor in a few months' time. So it's doable. I mean, ask for help. Ask for help. That's the only thing that you can, that will help you, like, catapult you to go to whatever you want to be. So
I think there's a choice you make, isn't it? You set out at university to achieve something, and you're either going to achieve it or you're not. Yeah. So you might as well make the decisions that will allow you to achieve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And then a couple of people have asked about what advice would you give, and that kind of links really well to that. Someone has also asked, did you have a job when you were studying? And I guess what they're going with that is, is that manageable? Is that was that difficult? But did you cope okay? What was the experience with that?
So I did from the age of 18. I had an apprenticeship, and I went off to college. Went to college for 4 years. Then went to University of Birmingham and studied there. So I'd leave work and drive over to Birmingham. That I was in my early 20s. That was manageable. I was still living at home, and I didn't have to worry about my washing or my food being prepped because my mum did all of that for me. Then when I returned in 2001, then a little bit different. Got a house to run. Got a full-time job that was long hours. And I think if anybody, is in an environment where there weren't long hours anyway, it's recognizing that it's long hours on top of studying as well. And, you're going to have deadlines, you're going to have to get stuff in. It's just managing it. And it is hard work. I won't deny that. I found it really hard work. However, it's 3 years of your life, and at the end of it, you'll reap what you've got out of it, and it's worth the investment. Absolutely worth the investment.
Yeah.
There are, I think, well, you have the opportunity, obviously, to go and do placements and internships and all those kind of things that university allows, and I think when you're out doing those things, you're still doing the studying as well. So it is kind of relentless, and it is, as Rachel said, it is really bloody hard. It's not an easy task to do, but you're there to do something that you love doing. So that that passion is a drive, I suppose. And then if you have a job outside, I worked full time in a pub. So there's a lot of late nights, there's a lot of weekends working, but that's money. So there's money that you need to continue living and stuff. So it's just an essential thing that you have to do. So again, it's just a matter of learning that responsibility to manage your time, manage your money, manage everything really. So whilst it's it's not easy, it's doable.
Yeah. That's true. I would second that. I mean, time management is very important, especially if you're going back as a mature student. I don't know, whatever stage of a student life you're going back, I mean, you choose to go back to uni. Time management is very important. And try and put things in different buckets, I would call it. So don't mix your family thing with school. So when you're at school, you face school. You're at work. If it's time for your family thing, put things in certain buckets, and then be organized. Have your calendar, whatever, notebook, whatever it is. Note down your deadlines that you have to make, and then work towards it. That's
yes,
that was
good advice. Yeah, I think time management is very challenging to do, and I think you're all right. You all said you kind of have no choice. You have to work. So and for majority of students now, I don't really know many students that don't have to work. It's pretty standard. And kind of going back to what we said right at the beginning, your academics will know that. your tutor recognises that you will have to work, and it might be that
Yeah.
you work in a bar till 4 a.m. You know, that is quite common. So on the thing of advices, have heard bits and bobs about what advice you'd give, but if you were going to give yourself advice, if you're going to go back to before you started, what would be the one big piece of advice you'd give yourself?
I think for me, it would be learn how to manage your money. That would be the key thing. Learn how to be financially responsible and know how to make your money work for you, I think. And you can start that as you know, really, really young. I know there's like a company called Go Henry, I think, that do children's debit cards, which are awesome. But you know, I probably need that now. Help someone manage my money. And as we were just saying, then time management as well. Like learn how to manage your time efficiently, put processes in place. This is stuff that I've learned while running a business, is that you put the right processes in place, things work smoothly, and you know, it becomes like a well-oiled machine, and you can apply that to absolutely every area of life. And I think if you've got a really busy schedule and you are doing multiple things, and you do have 3,000 word essays on top of a 12-hour shift on top of a placement, then you need to have a process in place to know when you're going to do things, and you're going to do an essay from this time to this time, stop, work from this time to this time, stop. And that's what I would have told myself. That's 5-10 years ago, as you said.
I'd go back and say last minute doesn't work. So it goes back into what I was saying about time management, and then suddenly panicking, thinking I've got to have this in tomorrow morning, and it's now 11 o'clock at night. So therefore I'm being sat up all night trying to get it done. And the other piece, don't wing it. You get caught out, you can't wing it. If you know you're not going to pull it out of the bag, you need to be upfront and honest. Lecturers see through you when they know that you're just making up a story. So yeah, don't wing it.
Yeah, that's true. I think the best advice I would give myself going back would be like, I wish I gave myself enough time to socialize. I mean, to just have socialize outside uni. I mean, because I was so much engraved in doing this thing. And I guess because of my background, I was like, I don't want to fail. I don't want to do this. So I was like 100% into all this. I did all this student ambassador thing, but it's like, okay, I was working, it was giving me extra money. I was doing this for the university. But I think I kind of withdrew myself from my friends and didn't get that chance, to socialize. I think I would give myself that kind of advice. You need that kind of social aspect of life to cool yourself down. And then time management as well, like leaving things to last minute, because this is the thing, they teach us to adhere to deadlines. I can attest to it now that I'm working. I'm in the working environment. We have deadlines every time. We have deadlines every week. We have things happening. So I think when the lecturers are doing that, it looks callous to us at first. We're like, oh, why do we have to have 2 assignments in a week, or 2 assignments back to back every week? They're teaching us something. So start your work as soon as they've given you, especially if you have other circumstances. If you are not like a full-time student living in Paragon or doing whatever, start your work as soon as they've given it to you. Manage your time wisely, and that's the advice I can give myself looking back.
I think all of that is really good advice. And on the first ones about being financially responsible and time managing, I definitely need that. We are running support sessions for that actually, and we've implemented them now to try and help students get used to that, because that's a really common thing. I think both quite a few people mentioned about time managing and being last minute and being honest with staff. And I think that it is really important. You'd have to be honest with your employer. If you weren't going to get the work done, you'd have to tell them that. And just like your employer, they're not going to want you to fail, because they want things to run well. So
Libby, I'd add to that, if an employer is actually paying for the course of study, you're expected to turn up.
Well, yeah, even more so.
That's really important. And I sort of saw over the years where students just wouldn't turn up, and their employer was paying for them to be, you know, at college, at uni. You'd get fired for that now. You know, it's really important that people realise that you get caught out. Doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're at school or not, playing truants, you're going to get caught out.
I guess I would, just to add a different slant to it, I would change my answer to be as creative as possible. Like, no matter which field you're in, this is the time to be creative. This is the time where, if you're there to make a difference in the world, like, try it there. Start a business then. I think that's what I would have said when I was younger. And at university, I wish I'd started a business earlier. I wish I'd done something more extravagant like that earlier on, especially at the University of West London, where you've got Westmont Hub, you've got Claude Littner Business School, and they're both amazing facilities and brilliant support for that particular thing. So it allows you to go out there and be creative and start things and have ideas, and that's what I wish I'd done more of when I was a bit younger.
Yeah, get out of that comfort zone, and
totally, exactly.
That comes from confidence, though, doesn't it? You know, the fact that, you know, you've set up on your own, Philip, you've got that confidence. It's having that self-belief again, and, you know, going and doing it. And I think we all look back and think, oh, I wish I'd done that back then. It's all about timing at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. I guess it's circumstantial, isn't it? But yeah, if you're going to fail, because failing is one of those things that is an inevitability, and it's so important to do, then do it younger. Well, you do it anytime, really, but, you know, younger is better because you've got more time to pick the pieces up.
It's like what you said about putting your hands up. The first time you do it, you'll then be doing it all the time. It's that first time that's scary. And then you'll be more confident, I think. So that's all I haven't got any more. That's all I have time for. But I want to thank everyone for coming. Thank all the people on Facebook, the people that managed to log into Zoom. UWL are showcasing several of these. We're doing quite a lot of these where we've got lots of alumni coming in and showcasing their experience. So if you are looking to start this autumn, make sure you look on our website. This recording and others will all be going on the YouTube channel. We'll be posting this, so share this, comment on it. If you've got questions as well, just please get in touch. I'm more than happy to answer anything. So if there's anything that wasn't answered today, I haven't seen anything, but if there was, feel free to send me an email, and I can try and answer that as well. And I hope to see people at another UWL event. And thank you again for the panelists for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Libby. Thank you for asking us.
Thank you so much for the time, and I'm back to work now. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.